Hey, Brian Vander Ark from the Verve Pipe here, and you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Republican Anthony Rogers has no previous political experience. Rogers, a comedian, is well known for a podcast called The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey man, this is Tommy Chong, and right now you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's Carol Baskin, and you are listening to The Anthony Rogers Show.
Hey y'all, this is Kevin from Candlebox. You are listening to the funny man Anthony Rogers.
Hey, my name is Alex Sulkin, writer of Ted and Family Guy, and you're listening to The Anthony Rogers Show. Lucky you.
Stay till the end for 2 acoustic songs by the Verve Pipe.
You've heard of like book burnings like in history class or in the past, but today books are being banned. And I'd like to bring a book that was banned by Amazon, Barnes & Noble, several other places from pressure from the CDC and Big Pharma. The author, who's been a frequent guest on the show, and one of the biggest episodes, I think, Vitamin D3 episode, Jeff T. Bowles, would like to give away a free book to Anthony Rogers Show listeners or viewers or however you're consuming the show. He's gathered together 16 fascinating mysteries about COVID-19, the Spanish flu, that nobody could ever explain, sometimes for 100 years or more. Like this one's my favorite, where people in Alaska were dying from the Spanish flu, except this one little river village, about 150 people, where nobody got sick, and people dropping dead all around them. No one ever knew why for like the last 100 years, and then Jeff figured it out in this book. It solves all 16 of the crazy puzzle pieces, and once you know the one secret that runs through all 16 mysteries, you'll be 100% protected from COVID-19, and nobody had to die from COVID-19. Just go to freecovidbook.com, and he'll send you a free PDF copy of this amazing book. Welcome back to the greatest show in the entire universe. Today we have a legendary guest from a legendary band. I've known this band for a while, not personally, but just like being alive and being on the radio. We have Brian, the lead singer from the Verve Pipe. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. Thanks for having me, man.
No problem, man. Thanks for those songs. Those are awesome songs, man. Like, I was gonna ask you like kind of a typical question, but do you get tired of playing The Freshman? Like, is that like one of those songs you're just like, man, that made me a lot of money and blah, but like it's kind of annoying to play, or are you one of the guys that like playing?
There was a time when we were tired of playing it, and that was just because we were, tired ourselves, and but over the years, I've realized that that it's touched so many people, and that it really kind of buoys you when you're on a stage. It kind of, we know it's a point in the show. We typically play a couple hours shows. So normally in the show, and we don't wait till the end, by the way, if anybody ever comes to see us. We're not the band that comes out for the encore and plays The Freshman. I mean, we'll put it in the middle so, the old school fans can enjoy all the songs and the new fans can just hear The Freshman. But but it's a point where I know in the set that everybody's going to be into it, and we feed off that energy, and it's a very nostalgic place that it brings people, and that's a nice thing, and it's nice to be part of people's lives, 20, 25 years ago, especially,
No, I think it's a very honest observation of it, man. I think it's powerful to have a song like that in pop culture. I bet, to me, and I think a lot of the guys I talk to, like just in bands that I know and stuff, they'll get annoyed that not every song they write's that song. but I mean, right. and like you still kill. I mean, you guys just had an album come out. Like when was your album released?
We just put it out. A couple weeks ago. So and singles have been going out, for the last 6 months. But yeah, I mean, you got to keep moving. I mean, we make albums for ourselves and the old school fans. I mean, there are fans that were fly by night. They came on when the album Villains came out, and then they kind of left. And then we had a song in the movie Rockstar called Colorful. It's the end of the movie song. And that brought a lot of people back. And then we've kind of maintained that crowd. And then we put out a couple kids records for fun. So we continue to put music out, no matter what it is, acoustic albums or kids records or rock records, it's just a matter of staying creative.
That's awesome. Where did the band name come from? I couldn't find that anywhere on Google.
Our first guitarist came up with the name. He was in the band for 4 months, and it was this weird night of, the CD artwork had to be done the next day. And so we were up until midnight. We played shows as these 2 different bands that we were in. We separated 2 bands and formed this super group. And so we'd play shows as this one band, and then we'd play shows as this other band. And finally, the guitarist just stood up and he said, "We're going to call it the Verve Pipe, and and screw anybody that doesn't like it." And so we were like, "All right, I guess that's okay." And then we named the band that, and then he left, and he left the band a few months later and left us with this horrible name that no one could. You had to pronounce it twice to people. They're like Verve Pipe. People still call it Verve Pipe. And then there's the confusion with the Verve, so it's like this ridiculous name that we're stuck with for 30 years now.
That was my actual next question about if you got confused with the Verve line. As a consumer, I see a lot of people confuse your guys' bands. I'm a music nerd, so I know the difference. But I feel like a lot of people that aren't like super into music, like they confuse your band with the Verve a lot. I noticed that. Like my wife did actually when I asked. Well, I was like all hyped. I'm like, man, I got this guy from the Verve Pipe on. I'm like all hyped. I'm like bragging. I'm like thinking every like. And she's like, oh, is that Bittersweet Symphony song or something?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god.
We get it every single day and numerous times during the day. And, we make fun of it. I make fun of it on TikTok. If you look at our TikTok page, you'll see, I make fun of it on Instagram, Twitter, everything. I mean, I don't call people out in a bad way. We just, my Twitter bio says something like, "We're the band behind the Freshmen, not Bittersweet Symphony. That's by the Verve, but what the fuck? I take credit for it anyway." So
hilarious.
we make a joke of it, and because honestly, both songs are great songs. I mean, I love the Verve. I thought Storm in Heaven was a great album, and Urban Hymns, same thing. So there's no. And we've met the guys, and there's no hard feeling. I'm sure that they had it worse than we do because, they were a credible English band, and I'm sure they had a bunch of teenagers, and probably still do, that come to their shows wanting to hear the Freshmen, So I feel bad for them as well. But we've had people come to our shows. We had a 4-year-old daughter of somebody come, and she held up a handmade sign that she had made that said, "Please play Bittersweet Symphony." And of course, we don't play it. And afterwards, I felt terrible, for this poor girl. I was upset with her parents. I'm like, "Oh my God, can you guys do some research, please, before you make your daughter make a sign for the wrong band?"
Yeah, buy tickets and everything. That's a commitment, the no research. That's crazy. That's a huge commitment. The guys from Bowling for Soup always tell me that everyone thinks they wrote Stacy's mom, and then what they eventually. Funny. What they mixed up Fountains of Wayne with Bowling for Soup, and what they eventually did is they cover Stacy's mom now. So people even on Reddit threads and stuff, and I post clips from an interview I had. I'm like, they didn't do this song, blah. People will still argue I saw them blah blah blah, and they played this song. I'm like, yeah, because so many people thought that it was just a weird situation. So many people think that they did that song, they cover that song live now.
Well, we've thought about doing the same thing. I mean, perpetuating the confusion is not necessarily a bad marketing scheme, right? I mean, I would say we probably sell 10% more records because people think we were the ones behind Bittersweet Symphony. The funny thing is when you think about the hits, you think about the, growing up in the 70s, there were a lot of one-hit wonders, and people know us for the Freshmen, and that was such a huge hit that you could consider it to be a one-hit band. But you throw Bittersweet Symphony in there, and then you go, well, look, they had 2 songs, and so we have people defended us in that way, which is their confusion is our benefit.
That's so funny. That's hilarious. It's gonna be funny to see on the inside too, man. No, it's weird because I hate people that call bands one-hit wonders and stuff because it's usually people that never did anything. And not to be rude, right. but it's oh yeah, you only had one massive hit song. I'm like, okay. Good. That's everybody's dream. You did what everybody's trying to accomplish. My generation, I think.
The funny thing is that people, the thing that doesn't bother me about it is that we set out for a successful album. I mean, we wanted to have a successful album, and we sold 4 or 5 million copies of that record.
It's crazy.
But we didn't want to make the same record. A lot of bands will go and make the same record. It's just that's not interesting to us. So, let people think what they want to think. But, after we made the successful record, we're like, I can do anything for the rest of my life now. Why would I want to go and revisit that same thing? How much money, how much fame do you really need? I don't know. I'm one of those guys that is like, there should be no billionaires in the world. Like it's ridiculous that people have that much money, so it's like, yeah, well, I'm enjoying my life. I get to make music with my best friends, and we travel the world, and we play concerts, and we keep making music. It's super fun, man.
I think that's why people insult guys like you, because they want that for themselves, and they don't have that. It's like almost like a projection of like their insecurities.
Yeah, probably that could be it.
That's how I view, because you're in the public eye. So I mean, people are just gonna say insane shit to you all the time. You're like insanely positive, insanely negative. I mean. Do you have any of those like kind of fans that kind of just like, you're like, what the fuck? Like you guys have like crazy rock fans like back in the day?
Well, we always have people who are critical, and that, as soon as somebody makes you angry or frustrated, they've won. Sure. It's like I get, I make fun of people, the criticisms online all the time too. Like I'll take a screenshot of somebody's criticism when I snap back at them in a funny way or whatever, and then I'll post it on social media, and I just got some mileage out of what you just said. You know what I mean? So it's like, it just doesn't bother me, man. The only thing that matters once you have kids are your kids. That's all I care about. If somebody comes around my kids and says shit, they're gonna get a fistful.
What do your kids think of your band? Are they, do they think it's cool, or are they one of those people like, oh, my dad's in a band? Like I see a lot of like rock star kids.
Well, they like it. I think they like it sometimes. They like it when like their teachers all know the band, because we live in the town. We live in Grand Rapids, Michigan, where the band is from and where I grew up. So we're here, and so all the teachers all used to come and see us, and I could tell you stories about their teachers, frankly, but I don't. But so I think they like that side of it sometimes, but they're not particularly fans of the music. You know what I mean? They're 16, 11, and 5, and they're all kind of into their own thing, which is great. I mean, I've learned a lot from them of what's hot right now,
Oh, I bet. Yeah, having kids, it's like that many young kids is like a almost test demographic of what's being scoped out there by kids. That's smart. Yeah, no, that's interesting. Like, no, I think it's crazy. I think it's crazy. Your band kills, man. I can't believe like this is like one of my. I love that I'm able to even talk to guys like you on the show, man. It's kind of it's like crazy that like bands of your caliber do this. But so where do you see what's kind of the plan right now? You trying to tour right now in this crazy ass world? Or are you trying to record?
Yeah,
more,
well, we do tour, but everything got canceled because of COVID, and so every band is trying to get gigs now because it's really hard because so many bands want to go out, and unfortunately our demographic is older, and those people don't want to go out to shows unless they have to. Young people, they go out to shows and they love it. So, we have to play to, half houses, half full, but that's probably more responsible with COVID anyway out there. So, and then just so we're on the road and playing and satisfying the urge of the music fans to see us live. That's the most important thing. So we'll never stop doing that.
That's awesome. What are some bands you liked as like a kid, or like kind of got you into music or being a musician or something like?
Oh yeah, I was a huge Elvis Costello fan of the Police, and I was a really big XTC fan of the Beatles, and everything that had that great melody and catchy verse to it. Elton John, I was a huge Elton John fan when I was a little kid, and still am. I'm still a fan of those old records. Also a big fan of like the Harry Chapins, because I finger pick, that's what the freshmen, it's all finger picking. So I learned that when I was, third or fourth grade. And that was by listening to James Taylor records and lifting the needle up, like learning a little phrase and then putting the needle up and moving it back a little bit and the same phrase over and over and then trying to figure it out, So I know those records intimately for sure.
Yeah, so it was weird watching you play music. Because like, you're one of those guys who could just turn it on. Like I was like, I mentioned that briefly, like before we were recording, but like you're just a guy that like it seems like I don't know this. I just literally just met you through Zoom. But I'm saying, I feel like when I watched you play those two songs, but you literally just like turn it on. You went from like, yeah, here's a this song means this to me, blah, and then went into it and just killed it. Like it was crazy.
I can comment on that. The fact that, we're not a shoegazer band, we never were. We were always a very entertaining rock band, and we had a really great reputation back in the day. In fact, Edwin McCain just hit me up on TikTok with this he made a video for his people talking about me and our band and that we're on TikTok and how great, the live show is. But we just take it seriously. I take every performance seriously because people are spending, for when people go to a concert, they're getting babysitters, they're coming out, they're spending, they have expectations, and I'm not going to sit up there and stare at my shoes. We're going to entertain you. We're going to tell stories. We're going to have fun. We're going to have fun with each other playing, and the band is going to be great. If the band is not great, they're going to get an earful at the end of the night from each other. We call each other out, but that rarely happens. It's important to be great and to be on every time, no matter if it's one person in the audience, you right now, right here at this moment, or I know you have more followers, but I'm just saying, or thousands of people. You have to be on all the time, so.
Is that hard to be on all the time, you think?
It's exhausting. What was exhausting? That's a great question, because what was exhausting when we used to do the kids shows, that was exhausting because we would play an hour kids show, and our kids shows are full on rock and roll and 4-part harmonies and the whole thing, and you can't let up the gas because kids get bored, and then their parents get upset that they came to something where their kids are bored and they don't want to stay. So we were in those kids' faces all the time, that whole time, and then we would go play a 2-hour show that night for adults. So that was the exhausting time, and that was the hard. It was getting so bad that I had to say, okay, we can still make kids records for fun because they're a blast to make, but we're not going to tour on the kids shows anymore. So we don't play kids shows anymore.
Greetings, listeners of the greatest show on earth with Anthony Rogers. What is up? Do you shop to support small businesses? Do you like a quality cup of coffee in the morning and care about the who, the where, and the how that goes into that tasty morning brew? Well, check out our family-owned specialty coffee roaster, Tubbs Coffee Roasters. I'm Jason, the founder and roaster at Tubbs, and we source and roast only specialty grade and organically grown coffee with the intent to blow your mind. We offer subscribe and save options where you select from all coffees in our shop, choose a weight and a delivery frequency, and fresh roasted coffee will be delivered to your home or office. Orders $30 or more get free shipping as well. And for those bad mofos ready to subscribe and save now, let us know you heard this ad. In the box, in the shopping cart, marked special instructions to the seller. And we'll toss in a free 12-ounce bag of one of our core blends. That's right, free coffee. TubbsCoffeeRoasters.com.
There's still a lot of artists in film and music, like once they have kids, like kind of like get into like the kids industry of entertainment as well. Is that kind of what happened with you? Like you're like, okay, well, I'm starting to have kids. I can relate to kids now. Like,
sure. Well, I mean, that was the, that started it. That was the impetus of the whole thing, because I had kids, but it's because I took my kids to another show, and I took my kids to the ballet, and I took my kids here and there. And I saw I realized everybody that buys their kid one t-shirt, or everybody that buys their one kid a t-shirt, they're going to buy all their kids a t-shirt. So I thought, well, we can double, triple, quadruple our merchandise sales if we put out a kids record. And we did. And we sold, Sirius XM picked it up, and they played the hell out of that record. And we sold a shit ton of records, kids records.
Awesome.
And, I mean, it just works. And t-shirts, we still sell more kids merchandise than anything else,
Well, yeah, they're the largest consumers in music and art and in general. I guess they have their parents' budget. I mean, if my mom bought me records, still I'd have a lot more records.
Well, they call that unlimited. When you have disposable income, your kid's disposable income is typically their parents' money, and kids don't even know what a CD is, but we still sell CDs because they want to leave a show with something that the band signed and that kind of thing. So we sell a ton of kids CDs still. We don't sell any adult CDs.
Yeah. It looks like country music and kids music still sell CDs. It seems like. I still. It's weird to think about, but awesome. I mean, because I mean, you do want a physical piece of like the experience you had and stuff, and I think that I think an autograph goes a long way. I mean, I used to be like that when I was like a kid, like I'd try to get everything signed and all that. That's crazy.
I don't understand I still don't understand the appeal of. I understand the appeal of, meeting Bruce Springsteen and getting a picture with him and getting an autograph, but random bands that you go to see or whatever, for a fan, that's something that just escapes me, that you got me to sign something. I don't know what that I'd rather walk away with a decent 5-minute conversation with somebody than get a signature. You know what I mean?
I think
I was never one to take pictures. I'm never one to do, I take selfies with fans all the time, but when I'm in a room full of celebrities and people that I've never met, I'm the last guy that would go, hey, let's do a selfie. That's just, I've never, it's just not my thing.
I can tell by your vibe. Yeah, I know you seem like that for sure. But I think it's the difference between what the internet so far calls like content creators and then the people, the consumers. I mean, I think like you want to be the guy creating the art. You know, you don't want to be the guy like, oh man, look, I was in the same room as someone really fucking successful. You want to be the successful person. I think that's what like most artists are like. They like. It's almost annoying to have more famous people around. You know, it's like annoying when you're not the most famous person around. Almost like for a lot of artists, it seems like.
Well, the other thing too is that once when we really hit and we were in the top of the world, the top of the charts, meeting all those celebrities was intimidating at first. But once you get in there and you realize they don't really want to talk about music, they don't want to talk about movies, they want to talk about what's going on in the world or whatever. They just want to have a normal conversation. Where did you eat yesterday? I ate at this place. It was pretty good. Oh, really? Where is that place? That's the kind of conversation they want because they talk about music and movies all the time, So if you're just yourself, it's super easy.
I think that's the secret is like authenticity. Like being your true self will take you far in whatever you're dealing with or whatever field you're in,
Always. Being authentic is the most important thing.
I think so too. I think that's the contest is like who can be their real self the best in art. Yeah, that's almost the contest.
Yeah.
So what was that like? I mean, like what is that like? Like blowing up? I guess you were in music when music was like because music's different now. I think personally, but I mean, I think like you were in a time where like if you were established before 1998, I mean, you were basically. I mean, you had it made. I mean, I feel like you said, you could probably just piggyback off that forever now. I mean, and I think that like like you said, you're still selling records, and stuff. But I mean, that was like the pivotal of the music industry. Like you blew up.
Yeah, well, we had time. You have to have had the goods. You had to write good songs, and the bands that sold the records off of the one song. If like for instance, we had Photograph that was a pretty big hit for us.
I see Villains too.
4 or 5.
I see Villains was a pretty big song too. That was pretty big too. Yeah. I mean, from my perspective, like you had probably about 5 or 6 like big songs. I think in different times of your career, in my opinion. But I mean, you lived it, so I mean, you probably lived it.
Yeah, but thank you for that. What I'm saying is though that you have to be able to have the album of songs. Like if you sell an album and the only good song on it is the song that they heard on the radio, then your career is going to be done. Like we raise the bar early. We still have that high bar. And if something is not good enough, we keep it off the album, and we work on it. So.
Yeah. You came out strong. Was there like a moment you were like, I made it, man. I don't need to work at Denny's anymore or whatever your previous job was.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What was that moment for you guys? Or for you?
I mean, for me personally, I used to work at a sporting goods store and I was able to quit that job. I used to string tennis rackets and, sell golf clubs and all that shit. And to be able to call in and say, hey, this is, my band just got signed and we're going to be going on tour. And to not get any kind of reaction from anybody, everybody was like, okay, we'll send you your paycheck, that kind of thing. And you're like, God damn it, I thought this was going to be better. I thought I was going to get this rush. What felt good was being on the road later and then coming into the sporting goods store and having everybody make a big deal, all the customers make a big deal, That was fun. But that gets old. I get so old real quick,
No, I imagine, yeah.
Sometimes you just want to go in and buy sporting goods. I mean,
Yeah, no, I think that's like a curse almost to be that. To be like Kurt Cobain successful or something would suck,
Oh, that's ridiculous.
But internet fame's awesome because you just close the laptop. You know what I mean? You just be like, I'm like, I'm going to close this laptop and just go outside where no one knows me.
Go where you are. Go where you are right now.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. I love that kind of concept. Like, I couldn't imagine fame before the internet because there's no off switch. I mean, you didn't have an off switch, or you still don't really because you were established in that rush before Napster and all that. So I mean, I think that's important in pop culture, and I think and some people some people were able to establish themselves afterwards, but I mean, not nearly at the level not nearly at the level those '90s bands were, man. Like you were in the right time, right place, plus had the right talent. It seems like I mean, like you had to be good, otherwise it wouldn't have mattered.
Well, we were the last group of I think musicians who wrote their own songs and who made their own records, and didn't go to these places like the Matrix and buy a chorus for a song and do all the calculated things. I mean, that group from from Cobain in 91 through 98, 99 was a really good group of bands that were great musicians and that could have just sustained being great musicians, and also that was the time of the big budget albums. So, record labels would put $300,000 into your recording, and then, they would spend $200,000 on a video, $300,000 on a video, and more. And then, they give you tour support so you can always be out there and never lose money. I mean, I think those days are over unless you're Katy Perry now,
Yeah, you got to do these compilation festivals now. Like in the 90s, people would just go to a concert with like two good bands, and they still do sometimes, but it's rare now. I know it's weird. Like they're doing all these like weird 360 deals and all these weird
terrible deals.
Yeah,
deals.
I could. You're basically a circus bear slave at that point. That's what it seems like to me.
I mean the 50-50 deals and the 360 deals, essentially they're getting their cut of everything. Back when we were doing it, they weren't getting any of the t-shirt sales. They weren't getting any of the ticket sales for the live shows. These 50-50 and 360 deals are terrible deals for bands because they're dipping into everything. I always recommend people don't do it. In fact, I recommend to every band just to do your own thing. Run your band like a business. Don't worry about the record labels because they're going to throw you out there, and if it doesn't work right away, they're going to drop you, and then you've wasted all that time. Build your fan base and run it like a business. That's what we do. And we haven't been signed since 2001, and it's been going great for us. We make a lot more money now than we did back then.
That's
when
awesome.
the record label's taking 90% of the profit.
Yeah.
And then you're splitting up the 10% between five guys. That's ridiculous amount of money that you're not making that you should be.
That's theft, really. I mean, it's just stealing. I mean, that's what it seems like. And it's weird because I don't think in your generation, when you were signed, it mattered to be signed. It doesn't matter now. They can't really do anything other than get you better iTunes placement, maybe. That's the only thing I can really see them do at this point. I mean, they're basically just latching onto these successful kids. When these kids were going platinum, all those SoundCloud rappers were going platinum in 2016, they were eating those kids alive, man. They were getting those they get a 16-year-old with millions of views. Here, I'll give you $4 million. And they're whoa, $4 million. And they would just make so much money off those singles like Gucci Gang and all those they ate those kids alive, man.
I mean that's the record label thing was such a big deal in the early and mid 90s, after the Seattle scene happened, and we were so concerned about getting signed. And once we got signed, we changed. I mean, we sold 70,000 on our own before we got signed. And then when we got signed, we're like, okay, we're not going to do any business anymore. We're just going to worry about music. We're going to let them do the business. And that was a big mistake. You got to still do the business and be involved in every aspect of it,
Well, a lot of these guys think that getting signs the end of the finish line too, and that's the beginning of the race. That's the beginning.
Most bands don't. 95% of the bands that got signed back then and had albums released, 95% of those were failures. The record labels make all of their money on 5 to 7% of the bands they signed back then. So think about that. You have to be one of those 7% or 5%ers that have a successful record out of the 100%. There's when a record label has 500 bands, 300 bands on a label, and you're one of them, you got to get the priority somehow. That's why we signed with RCA. They only had ZZ Top, who was on their way down, and they had Dave Matthews, who nobody knew yet. And we're like, all right, they got two acts. If we sign with them, we're going to get priority. If we sign with Atlantic, who wanted us, they had 300 bands. We could be just another one of those bands that doesn't get any priority,
You're super on point in business for a musician. I don't mean that in a rude way, but most musicians are
doesn't bother me at all. I take that as a compliment.
I meant it as one. No, I meant it as one. No, I think you're super on point in business compared to most bands. I was explaining those those 2016 SoundCloud rappers. They're 16-year-olds on drugs, so they're the easiest people to take advantage of in business ever. They're young and stupid and also on drugs, so it makes them even dumber. So then that's the guys the labels want. They don't want guys like you. Thinking that out is crazy. It's crazy smart for you seeing the fact that you wouldn't be priority on a label with all these people. Because most of these young kids would jump on the label with all the bands they heard of.
No,
they'd be look at
terrible.
Terrible plan. No, it is. It is, and I see that. Like, 'cause I'm not talented in music, like, but I can see obvious business moves. Like,
well, that's a business move. You know, where we weren't good at business was the calculated moves of, you know, let's write another freshman. Because that is going to really solidify. But like I said, we just did not want to do it. A good businessman would do that, but we were just like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Chubby Checker do like the twist again or something. He had some follow up thing. I mean, you don't want that, and it is hilarious. I mean, you don't want to be that guy, man. You don't want to be. Yeah. You want to keep, like, I think you guys like kept doing it. I think the only thing different is like publicity goes back and forth on acts. You mean, so it's like I think your talent's still there and the songs are great. I mean, it's just like the public awareness isn't what the freshman was, and that's the only difference really. But I mean, you're always one song away from that again, though. It just depends on what picks up, what's happening, and you have the nostalgia market, plus you have the new market. It's like there's a bunch of people like myself. I'm 35. I had no fucking clue what was going on when that actually happened. You know what I mean? I found you guys like later. Probably like when I was just tearing, it was like you were in because the 90s and 60s were like two American renaissances where like everyone was talented almost. So I tore through like a bunch of the 90s bands like around your stuff, and then like a bunch of those like 60s bands. I think the same thing happened like comedy. Like I mean, you had like that's when like I mean SNL was killing it like late 60s and like that's when music was killing it, and we're in this weird pocket right now where I mean it's got to piss a guy like you off. You were talking about TikTok earlier. It's got to piss a guy like you off just seeing somebody lip sync a song and blow up and now they're famous. Our generations were kind of similar to where, like, you have to have artistic integrity also. You can't just have the views. You have to be like, to last, you have to be a good artist.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, you know, when the fortunate thing about these young kids that are signing and you know, the unfortunate thing is that they usually just blow all the money. But the fortunate thing is that they've still got time to do something else, you know.
True.
I mean, figure it out. I mean, you know, if I were to blow up now, you know, I'd be a fucking mess. I mean, I wouldn't know what to do had I not had the experience I had in the 90s where we were on top of the world. Now I know what to do, you know, but we're not looking. Listen, man, I mean, I enjoy the day. I get to spend time with my kids. I bring them to school, pick them up from school, make them dinner when I'm home, and then I get to go on the road and be a rock star. It's a great life, man.
No, it seems like it. No, it seems like life. People are so stuck on, like, in America, like, there's so many artists and there's so many new people coming out there. They're stuck on, like, the flavor of the moment kind of thing. And I'm not one of those guys. I think I like taking from just, like, anything, man. Like, anything that's good. I'm like a talent-oriented person versus, like, oh, man, this isn't what, like, well, I'm also old, too. If I was, like, 15, maybe I'd be more influenced by people or whatever. But I just feel like, I don't know, man, there's so much to pull from right now, man. You're part of pop culture. I mean, you're part of, like, a huge thing. And, like this is an American pop culture thing. I think that's massive, man. And I think a lot of people try to downplay because they're not getting invited to the parties in LA every weekend or something like that. They're like, oh man, I must not be the best if I'm not partying in the hills right now. I must not be the best person. But
seriously,
I'm like, dude, a guy like you, I mean, a guy like you is pretty much anywhere, and people have heard of your band though. If you go to like you're in Ohio or some shit, you're like, yeah, I was in the Verve Pipe, or I'm in the Verve Pipe. They're like, what the fuck? You mean you're gonna like most of America is on this nostalgia, on this pop culture thing. I'd say I'm from the Midwest. Everybody knows who you are probably out here. Like you mean like that's just like that was the last time music was good. It was like the 90s. So like you have like all these bands like you that just probably would kill anywhere else, you know, anywhere outside LA.
Like we have decent amount of credibility, the band does, and that, you know, credibility. I think credibility in my own family and in my own group of friends is important to me because that has to do with your character and the whole thing. The people that really know and love you, to have that credibility. That's the credibility I strive for. But I think in the general public, you know, there's a credibility there that we've always put on a great live show. You're never going to be disappointed coming to our show. I mean, I believe that. And we can back it up with songs and entertainment for the night, you know. And if you pick up our record, you might find one or two songs you don't appreciate, but the quality is going to be there. The quality of the songwriting, the lyric, the story, the sonics of it, it's always going to be a great album, whether or not it's your thing or not. That's up to you, you know. So.
You guys are still killing it. I tore through your album. I was surprised how fast I got a guy like you on here. He's like, you guys kill it, man. I was just like trying to like, it's like one of those things. I'm like, oh, can I get the Verve Pipe? And they're like, yes. I'm like, really? I'm like, okay. That it's like one of those things. Like you just try a million awesome things, then awesome things happen. And
I do so many interviews and so much stuff that I rarely say no. I just don't see the point in not getting in front of another 5 people or 5,000 people. Why not?
We're at 4 right now.
We're trying to accessible.
We're trying to get to 5.
You're at 4, including us, you and me.
Yeah. I have ambition to get to 5, but I'm not quite there.
Dare to dream, brother.
Yeah.
You'll get there.
But no, it's crazy. And then I tore through your new album and stuff. Like, because your publicist or manager or whatever was telling me that you guys want to play new songs. So I was tearing through kind of just in anticipation of of what you wanted to play. Almost.
Yeah, because you don't know. You're like, oh no, they want to play something new. Come on.
I
understand that.
Well, I think both are. I think I asked for an old song too because I think both are good. Because I think you'll get the people that love the old stuff and know who you are, and then the new songs for the new people and mostly that don't know. If we get to one person that doesn't know who you are, I mean, I think that's huge. I think that's that's the goal for me as a person interviewing people is introduce people to good bands so that they stop listening to just, for lack of a better term, complete bullshit,
Right. I agree.
Because when you get, and junk food's cool, but if you only eat junk food, you're not gonna, it's I like rap and I like pop music too. But there's just so much better music out there, and I've been getting really into country gospel, so I can appreciate I can appreciate a style like your guys is to where I was watching a lot of the acoustic versions online you guys did, and the video quality is great, the song quality is great. So if you're listening or watching this, if you look up the Verve Pipe's got a lot of acoustic versions of their new songs already out there, and they just fucking killing it. It's a mature sound. It was people got to watch you kind of grow up, I think, with the internet and just media in general. So you come a long way from I think The Freshman, which is funny that was your first song called The Freshman. That was almost what you guys were in the industry. Almost
we were. That was the first Verve Pipe song too, because that song was written in 1991 before the band was even formed, and then it wasn't a hit song for 7 years. Now that's perseverance, man. We never gave up on that song. We recorded it 4 different times until we got it right. So
I think
that's what you got to do.
No, you definitely do. People don't understand that. You need to be. It's always the guys I'm 35 and I'm just starting to see the shit happen. I've been saying the same things since I was 19, man. But I've been saying the same exact fucking things. But I feel to a degree, I've evolved, but now, I have the fucking Verve Pipe on my show right now. That's insane. This is just how it goes. We're getting killer musicians and stuff. It takes a long time, like you're saying, like the 7-year thing. I think it takes about 10 years to get established in entertainment because so many people are competing for it.
Well, there's the great, what's his name? Is it Malcolm Gladwell? The great
10,000 hours. Yeah,
10,000 hours. And I honestly believe that. That's the truth. 10,000 hours and you're a master. You could be a master at something. I've definitely put in my 10,000 hours plus to be good, a good writer. And everybody in my band has put in their hours to be good musicians and great harmonists and everything. So, we've put in the time. For sure.
No, I can tell that. You especially when you're just on. You literally just had a guitar. You're okay. First note was on point. The songs were on point. I'm like, this guy's done this before, huh? I'm like, this guy's played some songs before, huh? But but anyway, I'll talk for 9,000 hours. We don't throw out some promos. Where should people find before we get on there? Where should people find your band this isn't obvious? People can. You're on Spotify. You're on Apple Music and stuff. Where's some places people should look up?
Find us on social media. We're very, very interactive. We try to answer every question. TikTok's hard because we've got 500,000 views and comments, and it's hard to stay on that. But if you follow us on Instagram and follow me, Brian Vander Ark, on Instagram and that kind of thing, you'll get a kick out of it because we post a lot of content. We have a lot of fun. You go to the website too, thevervepipe.com. So, but
without sponsors like Delta Extracts, this show wouldn't exist. They have these 2-gram vape pens that basically it's like smoking weed or marijuana or whatever without the federal crime because it's legal. So a little bit of the paranoia goes away. Good product, Delta Extracts. Check out their link in the description and buy some stuff, support the sponsors.
So this song is the most popular song for our band. And I'm thankful for that. Even young people are into it again, so that's nice. It's called The Freshman. When I was young, I knew everything. She, a punk who rarely ever took advice. Now I'm guilt-stricken, sobbing with my head on the floor. Stop a baby's breath and a shoe full of rice. No. can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. My best friend took a week's vacation to forget her. His girl took a week's worth of Valium and slept, and now he's guilt-stricken, sobbing with his head on the floor. Thinks about her now, how he never really wept, he says. Can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Hey, yeah. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Tried to wash our hands of all of this, and we never talk of the lack in relationships. How we're guilt-stricken, sobbing with our heads on the floor. We fell through the ice when we tried not to slip. We'd say, can't be held responsible, 'cause she was touching her face. I won't be held responsible. She fell in love in the first place. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. For the life of me, I cannot remember what made us think that we were wise and we'd never compromise. For the life of me, I cannot believe we'd ever die for these sins. We were merely freshmen. We were merely freshmen. We were only freshmen. So this song is on the new record. It's called No One's Gonna Break This Heart, and then again in parentheses, because we all do the same things really in relationships. When we get our heart broken, we say we're never gonna get back with somebody, or we're never gonna do that again, and why would it be worth it? And yet we always find a way to for the heart to be pulled in by another's magnet, and that's essentially what the song's about. So here it is. No one's going to break this heart again. A part of you is lost and never found. When love lifts you, then it lets you down. Suffering reality, you feel the weight of gravity. It grabs you and it pulls you to the ground. And all the voices echo in your head, the resolutions you had left for dead. And once again your heart it breaks. You always make the same mistakes, expecting something different in the end. And No one's gonna break this heart again. No one's ever gonna get close again. There's never gonna be a reason to pretend. There's never gonna be another bitter end. Until this heart of glass is a heart of stone, buried out there somewhere in the great unknown. A solitary diamond to be left alone. And no one's gonna break this heart. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When everything seems so intertwined, the friends you had in common left behind. The nights are getting longer, the desperation stronger. You're looking for some words, something in kind. A part of you that you thought slipped away comes alive to live another day. And when it's unexpected, the heart is resurrected, and here we are meeting half the way. And no one's gonna break this heart again. No one's ever gonna get close again. There's never gonna be a reason to pretend. There's never gonna be another bitter end. Until this heart of glass is a heart of stone, buried out there somewhere in the great unknown. A solitary diamond to be left alone. And no one's gonna break this heart. Whoa, whoa, and no one's gonna break this heart again. No one's ever gonna get close again. There's never gonna be a reason to pretend. There's never gonna be another bitter end. And now this heart of glass is a heart of stone, a solitary diamond from the great unknown. It's brighter than the world has ever known. And no one's gonna break this heart.